What's going on, guys? This is Real Deal Fantasy HQ with your boy LQ back in for another great episode. And today's episode is my wide receiver fades for the playoffs, people. The big dance is here, people. It is playoff time. You do not want to get cute. You do not want to make stupid decisions. You want to make the playoffs everything you want it to be, and that's to bring home the gold, people. So these people, these guys, I do not trust. I do not believe in their situations. I don't believe in their matchups. I just overall don't think you need to roll the dice here, people. They can cost you everything. You could be a first-round knockout. Nobody wants to be that guy. Nobody wants to be that owner when you have a nice stud team. So do not, I repeat, do not get cute here, people. Everything matters. It's do or die, people. So I don't want to waste any more time. So let's get right into the episode. So let's get right into it, people. These wide receivers, man, I am fading them. I do not feel comfortable with them in my starting lineup. So it's basically based on their situations, based on matchups, obviously. I just do not feel safe, going into the playoffs knowing I got to start these guys. But if you do not have to start these guys, because, again, I do not know what your rosters are. I don't know what your teams look like. So, again, I could just be talking out of my ass, and you could be one of those owners who are forced to play one of these players because you have nothing else. Lost in the COVID, you lost in the injury, etc. Or the guys that you were believing in the offseason, they just plain old trash. Or, Kenny Galladay, what the fuck, injury. Injury is destroying a lot of these teams going to the playoffs. So, kicking it off with Denzel Mims. I do not trust any other Jet other than Jameson Crowder. Jameson Crowder is probably the most solid Jet player that I can put week to week and lose no sleep over. You know what I mean? He's a star and forget for me. But when it comes to Denzel Mims, I'm more excited for him for year two. I'm not really worried about him this season based on Adam Gates. I'm hoping Adam Gates gets fired at the end of the season, and then Denzel Mims can really, develop and be one of those wide receiver twos that we know he can be. So I think we cannot trust him for the playoffs based on he has the Seahawks, which we saw struggled, and they just took a major L last week to the Giants. But again, I just do not trust any other Jet other than Crowder. So Denzel Mims for the playoffs, it looks a little wishy-washy for me because after the Seahawks, he has the Rams. So that's very tough. Ramsey's going to lock it up, so I could talk my shit there. But anyway, overall, Denzel Mims, man, I just don't feel comfortable. I don't feel like I could trust him. Oh, excuse me. That was a nasty one. I just don't feel like I could trust him. I don't feel like, I want to get cute here. You want your guys to be studs. You want your guys to put up big points, but I just don't see it come from Denzel Mims, when it comes to these matchups. Seahawks, maybe he pops off for 10 points, but is 10 points going to help you when you're weak? It might, but I don't think that's a position where in the flex position that I'm okay with 10 points from a wide receiver that, that we have these high hopes for. There's no room for high hopes. There's no room for maybe he'll pop off. Rolling the dice and getting cute here can cost you everything, people. So again, Denzel Mims, I'm not really confident of having him in my starting lineup. Even if this matchup you think is great, but again, it's the Jets, it's Adam Gates' offense. We know how bad they are. They're winless, people. You do not want to get cute here, people. I can't stress that enough. So Denzel Mims, I'm fading the entire playoffs. His championship game, you got Cleveland. That is even more so why I don't think you'll make it up there to that, championship game with starting Denzel Mims. So he's getting the fade for all 3 weeks of the championship. So next up, I got Jakobi Meyers, man. Cam Newton has been looking very mid this entire season, very up and down. He's been looking good in the last couple of weeks, but not good enough to where I'm able to put him in starting lineups or any of the wide receivers or anybody on that roster other than Damian Harris. So Jakobi Meyers, he has been looking, a little mid as well. Nothing too great, nothing too crazy. He put up 8 points last game. I mean, if that helped, if that's something that you're looking for a guy. But right now, I just can't trust Jakobi Meyers in the playoffs. He has the Rams, in the week one, the round one, you know what I mean? I'm not messing with that either. With Aaron Donald, Jalen Ramsey, that defense has been looking great. So I definitely don't trust Jakobi Meyers based on we've been getting very wishy-washy shit from Cam Newton. So can you trust a Jakobi Meyers? Can you trust Cam Newton? These are all things that are questioned when it comes to the playoffs because it's one round knockout. You don't want to be that guy. There isn't I'll come back next week. I'll make right adjustments. No, it's over. You know what I mean? Once you put him into your starting lineup. So overall, his schedule looks disgusting. He has Miami and then Buffalo. He didn't play against, Miami, early in the season, so we didn't see much out of him. I think he only had like 12%, snap opportunity, so he wasn't really much involved. But again, I just don't trust it because Miami has been looking great. Their corners, if you could name one corner, then, not even a corner, name five, starting defensive players on the Dolphins right now. And then, let me know because I don't know, but they're a very good defense. You know what I mean? They're stud defense. So again, the last 3 weeks, out of Jakobi Meyers with favorable matchups, we got 6.8, points in PPR format in week 11, Arizona, week 12, 10 points. Great. Woohoo. Six targets, 5 catches, whatever. Great. That doesn't really help me much. You know what I mean? Like, I'm happy you didn't put up a donut, but it is what it is. Now against the Chargers, you put up 3.5 points. Is that somebody we can trust in the playoffs here? No, definitely not. So I definitely don't recommend you leaning on Jakobi Meyers to bring you home, a playoff win or bring home the gold for the big dance. So I'm fading him for all 3 weeks. I've been fading him. He's been on one of my rides. I've been fading him the last 2 weeks. In 3 weeks, you know what I mean? So I won't lose no sleep with him on my bench popping off because it is what it is. So I'm fading him all 3 weeks, people. Next up, I got Jeudy, man. He's definitely getting the fade. Carolina Panthers, Buffalo, and then the Chargers. Those are his 3 games to 3 weeks of the playoffs. I'm not touching Jeudy for these next 3 weeks. He's almost to the point where I can drop him and not care if anybody picks him up for the simple fact how bad Drew Lock looks, how bad that offense in total look. You know what I mean? So again, Jeudy, I'm definitely not leading on. You know what I mean? The last 2 weeks, he's putting up nothing, very quiet. Tim Patrick seems to be, shaking some feathers here and there, but he's been very wishy-washy as well. And I feel like Jeudy in the playoffs should not be an option. He should not be a guy, again, that you have to lean on. But again, I don't know your roster. If you must start Jeudy, then I don't know how you got to the playoffs. I don't know why you're in the playoffs if this is a guy that you have to start week to week based on your wide receiver situation. Again, I'm not going to toot my own horn, but I was without Michael Thomas. I was without Joe Mixon, and I had to lean on DJ Moore and DJ Chark to get me to the playoffs right now. Right now, I'm 7-5. So it is what it is. So I can't really toot my horn or say it's good in-season management and all this other stuff. But again, I didn't have to lean on a Jeudy, to get me to the playoffs or a must start every single week. Drew Lock has looked terrible. He is hurting so much of these like fantasy owners with, Noah Fant and then Tim Patrick and Jeudy and all these other players that are out there. I mean, all these other owners that are leaning on the Broncos, offensive players to bring home the gold, to bring home points. But we just cannot get that going. Very mediocre offense, nothing wowing, nothing great against they had the Panthers this week. I'm not rolling the dice on Jeudy at all. I'll be looking elsewhere. I would even start Kiki QT over Jeudy at this point based on, what we saw last week, him filling in the Will Fuller role. But again, Kiki QT is another guy that I'm like, I don't know, a little iffy. You know what I mean? Can he stay healthy? He might get hit wrong in the first quarter and then you're fucked. But again, that could be anybody. But again, Jeudy, man, I got to fade all 3 weeks. Buffalo, week 15, and the Chargers, week 16. I don't think Denver's going to put anything together in these next couple of weeks for us to say, hey, maybe the offense can move the ball now. Hey, maybe Jeudy can be fantasy relevant week to week. But we don't have week to week, people. The playoffs are here. Do or die. Do not get cute. Do not get cute, people. This is where all the marbles are on the table, and you can lose it all in just one game, people. So, Jeudy, you're getting a clean fade. So that wraps up another great episode of Real Deal Fantasy HQ. These are my wide receiver fades. These are guys that I'm not touching. These guys I'm not putting in my starting lineup. These guys that won't help me bring home the gold, people. So I hope you guys enjoyed the episode. Make sure you like and subscribe. Show some boys your love and leave the comments below on what you guys think. And I'll see you guys next week for another great episode of Real Deal Fantasy HQ with your boy LQ. Peace.